Have you ever had to do something that you didn't want to do, and so you prayed about it, and then the prayer didn't work? Like, reality was still there, and it was like, why didn't that prayer work? I prayed, but I got no answer. I've been there, done that myself, and I ended up picking up a book called The Supernatural Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. And this book explained so much to me, so I hope that I'm going to be able to explain it to you today as well. And my name is Vicki Lord. If you're new to this channel, I speak about all things about courage and personal growth and faith. And what I want to speak to you today about is the loop and the cycle of faith, and then the pattern and not getting your answer. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope this video reaches whoever it needs to reach today. So I recently saw a lady, and I saw her in this pattern of prayer. So she'd go and she'd pray and she'd feel really good, but then her reality wouldn't change. And I noticed it in this other lady because I was doing it myself. And what I came to realize after doing my study was that we have the act of prayer itself isn't wrong, but what was happening is that we were going to prayer, and the prayer was making us relax, and then we're coming out into reality, and reality was not relaxed. And so what had to change was the loop. So we were in a loop. I've got my notes here so that I don't get lost. But what was happening is that in the system of our body, we've got three systems. One is our nervous system, and that goes from the top of our head to the toes of our feet and to our fingers. So that is our nervous system. We're full of these little nerves that hold memory. And then we've also got our mind, and our mind is also what's chatting to our system of nerves is our mind. And so the memory is talking to each other. The memory of the mind is talking to the memory of the body. And when these two are communicating, it's giving you what you believe is reality. And so in the case of this prayer, the loop that was going on is that in reality we're stressed and anxious and don't have the courage to have a conversation. And then these are like the negatives of what happens if you haven't dealt with what's really going on. And so then we go to prayer for a source of answer. And so the prayer will make you feel good, and then you come back into reality. So you're in the pain, the loop of the pain, and then the loop of the relaxed. And then but I want to give you today a tip on how to get out of the pain loop so that you can relax in your daily life as well as in your prayer life. And so that takes me to the dependence on the nervous system. So if you're using the prayer to escape the reality and the truth, and I'll give you an example of this, personal example. I had to have a conversation, or I felt like I had to have a conversation, and it was so difficult for me that I was avoiding it at all costs. And so my response was to pray, and I feel better. I go, it's in the hands of God, and then I wouldn't take any action. And that very not taking the action was a lack of faith in itself. And I'll explain what I mean by that. When I was praying for this conversation, I was out on the hill, and I was begging, like with desperation, for an answer. And that desperate begging and anxiety was not going to get the answer. And it was like there was just a void that day with no answer. But then what happened a few weeks later was I got given these books on how to have a conversation. And I was like, that was the answer in his prayer right there. So while there was silence on the hill, I got given books later. And so I took that as an answer, and I learned how to have a conversation. But this is what I want to get. I hope this message gets to you today. So there's 3 areas of life that we need to change in our personal self. See, prayer is one way to chat to the universe, chat to God, life, love, whatever you want to call your connection. And then we've also got our personal self. And there's a verse, a very old verse, and it says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so we have to hold the responsibility ourselves to transform. And that's what I experienced on the hill while I was asking an external power to go and take everything away. That external power was like, no, I'm going to give you your personal growth here. Here's some books. Toughen up and have a conversation. And so this brings me to back to the other lady and myself who was avoiding life's tough situation, going to prayer, feeling the relax of the nervous system, then going back into reality. I believe that she needed to probably toughen up in some ways as well and build some courage in her life. So I want to give you 3 tips today on how to build courage in your life. And once you have the courage, then you will go to prayer from a different point of view. You won't go from a place of desperation. You'll be going from a place of certainty, and that will shift everything for you. And I'm really excited for you if you do this. So the 3 tips on how to build courage today is, one is to notice what I mentioned before, the nervous system, or the system of the nerves throughout your body, speaking to your mind. And so what I want to do is want to transform our mind so it comes to a place of 100% certainty and courage. Because when your mind gets the courage, then you'll take the boldness. And the boldness is actually having the conversation or whatever it is that you need to do. And the courage is the knowing in the mind that you can have that conversation. So what we do first is we realize the conversation that's happening within our body, and we notice the emotion that's attached to it. So if you take the having the conversation again as the example, you notice that there was tension in the body to have the conversation. But after you've relaxed the body, then there's no more tension. And so to relax the body, we need to become aware of the emotion that we're holding within us. And all this is just awareness. So we just become aware, we close our eyes and just scan our body and think or we ask our body, what is it trying to tell us? What was the message? And it will tell you, like, it's the fear of judgment or it's the fear of rejection, and it will tell you what's happening there. And then we can release it. And the way that we release it is we get a new learning for that. So instead of the emotion of I'm worried I'm going to be rejected in this conversation and I'll have no friends, we can get the new learning, and the new learning will always be something so much more powerful. Like, I've got friends everywhere. Like, I can make a friend down the street. I'm not going to lose my friends by speaking my truth. It's going to be better than that. It's going to grow and evolve. And so we get a new learning for the emotion itself, and that will set your system of nerves free when you get the new learning. So that's the first key, is start to set your system and your mind free from the old belief. My coach once said to me, can I challenge that? And so if you feel like there's a really heavy belief within you, challenge it. Say to that belief, I'm going to challenge you, and then see what learning you get out of that. And the second thing is to start to build that life courage. The thing that scares you the most, it's probably not going to be so dramatic once you do it. And the whole thing about taking courage, you won't do it until you feel complete safety about it. You won't take the step if you feel unsafe. So we're going to get our body feeling like it can take the courage and the boldness. And we do this by speaking to our body and saying to our mind and refreshing our mind and saying, I've got this boldness and this courage, and I've turned it from fear to excitement, because fear and excitement are the same thing if you hold them at opposite ends of the scale. Fear is on one end and excitement is the other end. They're both exactly the same energy, but you're just giving it a different meaning. So if you give it the meaning of excited, then you'll be like, whoo, I'm going to go and take the courage and totally transform my life. So that's the first thing. So we're going to notice the emotion and give it a new learning. And then we're going to create a new feeling about what courage actually means. It's not fear anymore, it's excitement for a whole new you. And then the third thing we're going to do is take a little bit of action towards it. And this is called boldness. And your life will really change when you take that little bit of action. And from my own experience, when I took the action and spoke up in my conversation, I was free after it, not instantly, but weeks later I was like, I'm so glad that I started to speak my truth. And then over time, speaking gets easier and easier and easier. And then when you do come to have that prayer for that conversation, then you'll be guided in that conversation instead of needing to be rescued. And it totally changes things. And I hope this video helped you today. If it did, and you want more courage tips, you can subscribe to this channel. And I drop a video every Monday on something to bring life more peace and joy. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.